everybody, welcome back to our channel and Happy New Year.
What up?
I'm Nicole, this is Erin.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be doing a case about Cleashindra Hall, who went missing on May 9th of 1994.
Clea, I'm going to make sure I say her name. Cleashindra, it was her name, but everybody called her Clea. Cleashindra, Clea for short. She was in her senior year at high school. I can't remember the name of it. Clea was getting ready to graduate. She was 2 weeks away from graduating. So Clea was asked to speak at her graduation, which she was extremely hyped about. And she also had an internship to be a pediatrician in the Boston hospital, at a hospital up there or something. So she was really hyped about it. And she got accepted into the University of Tennessee, I believe, to be
A pediatrician.
Yeah, a pediatrician.
She was in the pre-med program.
There you go. So she also had a job she was working at. She was working for this guy named Mr. Larry Amos, who he had a job where he had grants and he was getting grant funds where he would get food to daycares and stuff like that. And she did the books for him at his house of business, and his home as well. So it was about maybe a 10-minute walk from her house, and her parents asked around and everything. They didn't see nothing about it, so they didn't mind her working there. So she started working there, but the way she got the job was she asked a friend. A friend asked her if she could replace her, and then with her getting ready to graduate and then she wanted to save money up for her trip, she jumped on it and she started working there. May 9th, she got up for school and her brother got picked up by the bus, and then her and her other brother got dropped off because they both went to the same school and they were both in band together. But Clea, since she was 2 weeks from graduating and she was 18, she got off about 2:30. Now, most high schools, I remember mine did when I was in high school. If you were a senior, they let you get out of class early, like towards the end of the year, and then after that, they just completely cut it off. Because she got out of class at 2:30, and her mom picked her up from school because she was supposed to go to work early that day. And then when she got to the job, which was Larry's home office, nobody was there. So they waited a little bit and then they ended up going home, and Clea decided to take a nap on the couch. Now, Mrs. Amos called Clea's mother in around 4:45 and told her she was home from work and she can go ahead and send Clea over. So Clea got up, got the sleep out of her eyes, and then got in the van and started getting ready. So the reason why the reason why Miss Amos was late was because she was a teacher and she had bus duty that day in a neighboring town about 10-15 minutes away. So that was her reason for being late. They didn't know that until after Clea went missing. So leading up to that, Clea and her brother had a football practice or some type of sport practice at about 5. So the mom was trying to get everybody out the house. So she went ahead and dropped Clea off and then dropped the brother off. And then that was the last time she saw Clea.
So around 8 o'clock, Clea called her house to see if anybody had called and left any messages for her. And her brother and her mom picked up at the same time, and they both said no, nobody had. And they didn't think anything of this or think it was odd because this was 1994, so it was before cell phones were really popular. So if you wanted to call somebody, you called their landline and left a message for them. So I
can remember picking up the phone and then being on the end like this, talking to people and stuff like that.
I remember when we got caller ID. It was the thing. So
dial-up internet. Yeah.
Ooh, we're showing our age.
Oh yeah. I bet you the young people are like, "Ooh, what's that?"
What's that? So they told her she didn't have any messages and she hung up. So after that, her mom sat on the couch and started reading a book and ended up falling asleep. Well, around 12:45, Clea's dad was home, and he usually checked on all the kids before he went to bed, and noticed Clea wasn't in her room. So he asked her mom, "Hey, is Clea still at work?" And her mom jumped up and checked the room, and it was empty. So her mom, for some reason, didn't have the phone number for Dr. Amos's house. So she had to look it up in the phone book, and she called, and he picked up on the first ring, and this is almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And he said that he last saw...
How late you doing books, bro?
Right. And
you might want to call an accountant if that case.
He said that he saw Clea last around 8:30, And then he got up and he checked her timesheet, which was just a handwritten sheet. And it also said 8:30. And he said that somebody had picked her up and he didn't know who it was, but he heard the garage door open and then shut, which Clea would leave through the garage so that she didn't disturb his family since his office was at his home.
I believe it was him, his wife, and then I believe he had a 4-year-old boy, which loved to play with Clea and stuff like that. So
all he knew was that she was there one second and gone the next. And he thought that her mom had picked her up, or so he said. So in one statement that he made to police, he said he went into another room to watch the news and he was up, which is why he answered on the first ring around 1 a.m. when her mother called. And he also said that Clea had looked out the window 2 or 3 times like always, and then her ride showed up. Again, this is before cell phones, so it's not like you could text him.
I wonder if they checked into him. If you say he was watching the news, you can check what was on TV.
That's true. Then later on, he said that she left with a peach pop in her hand that his wife had given her. But previously, he said that he didn't see her leave.
He just heard her.
Exactly. So he's making a lot of conflicting statements, which is suspicious. So her mom had stayed up the entire night, thought that maybe Clea was trying to be independent since she was graduating in 2 weeks and was about to go out to college.
If my kid would have did that and then came home, oh yeah.
But unfortunately, she didn't come home and she never called. So her mom didn't call any friends or anything because this wasn't like Clea, so she wasn't really sure who to contact.
And usually Clea's mom, like the way they had it worked out was her mom was the only one who ever picked her up from work and took her home. I mean, it was like 10 minutes away and she's never walked home. And then later on, her brother ended up admitting that one night he did meet her halfway because she didn't get a ride home. So, but that was the only time she ever knew of her walking home, and she's never called any rides or anything like that. So her mom, like they lived like 10 minutes away, and then her mom, the routine was always like that. So when he said that she must have been picked up by somebody else, it was a little odd and it was a red flag for her mom. So like she said, she stayed up all night waiting for her, and she was livid. She was worried, but she was also mad. You know what I mean? Her kid and they never did that. You know what I mean? And she said that's not how she raised her kids. You know what I mean? And she was a good girl, this, that, and the third.
Grew up as a church family.
Yeah, he grew up in a church family. They went to church every like Tuesday night or something like that, I believe. Like it was out of the ordinary. So the next morning when she got up, her brothers ended up getting up. So she let her brothers know that that Clea wasn't there. So they were ended up getting ready for school, and the middle brother that was in band with her said, "I'll go to school, see if she's there in band class, and then I'll call you and let you know." So when he got to school, he called her, and then he let his mom know that he hasn't seen her, but some of the seniors had left school to go at the elementary school to play, which was a senior prank. I don't know. Yeah, senior week. I'm not quite sure. They probably went off to go get drunk and high or something like that. I mean, it's the 90s. Come on. So,
and it's senior week.
I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Clea was involved in any of that stuff, but I was 18, I was 17, I was in high school. I definitely smoked and drank behind my parents' back, my grandma's back. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I know how kids are. That's why I'm going to be on my kids. So then he told her that they should be back around lunch, and then he would give her a call around then to see if to let her know. He called her again around that time, and she still has not returned. She still has not came to school. So that's when the mom really started getting worried. She couldn't really do much. She tried to go to the police station, but again, she had to wait 24 hours due to the fact that Clea was 18 years old. So that put
bull.
It was completely bullshit.
She's still in high school. She's still a kid. I mean, I guess she's over 18, but.
They also thought she was just, I mean, it's senior week. You know what I mean? The last couple of weeks of high school, 18-year-old girl, you know what I mean? They were just pushing it off. Like all these cases we've been going over. It seems like a common thing. You know what I mean? So they pushed it off, tried to act like nothing was, and the mom and them were still this time going by, time being wasted.
Initially, Dr. Amos his house didn't get searched right away, and he refused to take a polygraph, and then they didn't even get a statement from him for like 2 weeks because he had supposedly gone out of town.
He said he had to go out of town to go pay for furniture for a salon. Now, mind you, he didn't come back with any furniture. No furniture was ever delivered to any place, and no salon was ever open. So that right there was you know what I mean?
Flag.
And this even 20 plus years later, still nothing.
Yeah.
And he still lives in that same house.
Yep. And we did read something saying that, or we watched another video that said that they thought that maybe his older son had something to do with it. He was a little older than Clea, and he had been in and out of trouble a lot. And
so Larry kind of wrote him off. He didn't want nothing to do with him.
But he had been at the house and had been around Clea before. So there was some speculation that maybe he had something to do with her disappearance, but nothing ever came of it. And I believe he got killed, didn't he?
He either got killed or he committed suicide.
Yes.
I can't remember which one it was, but it was in the late... It was in the early 2000s, I believe.
Yeah, so they couldn't talk to him anyways because he is deceased, so... But
Larry's the one I'm looking at. I'm honestly going to say it. But everything about him just seemed really suspicious and odd. Just his whole demeanor during the whole thing. Even his wife. His wife didn't want to speak with anybody, didn't want to. So when the police finally came to the house, they ended up getting a search warrant. First, they went to go try and talk to her, and Larry wasn't there. Larry found out that they came to talk to her and completely flipped out on her. They're not allowed back here anymore, da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, acting real crazy and this, that, and the third. And also, detectives came to go talk to his neighbors because they wanted to see what type of person he was or if they heard anything or seen anything. And the neighbor went to go talk to him. And he said, come on, I need to go talk to you over here because there's this crook over here being funny. Yeah, talking about Larry, but he was just being funny. So once he left, Larry went to the lady to go ask her what he had said, and then she had told him, and he got all butthurt and, you know what I mean, crying like a little girl, and he went to go file a complaint. I guess he never taught sticks and stones will break your bones, but you know what I mean? That's neither here nor there, but that put a damper on the case because he filed that complaint and they didn't want to get any more lawsuits, which would tamper the case. And then the mother wasn't getting anywhere with it. It wasn't getting anywhere with the police.
And she was frustrated too with Larry's wife because she's a mother, so she felt like she should be more compassionate or more willing to help than she was. Not
to mention, you were a mother and my child was just at your house.
Yeah,
was last at your house.
At your home.
And all of y'all stories aren't adding up. Right? This, that, and the third. Like, come on.
You should be bending over backwards to help her find your child.
It wouldn't happen in my case, though.
So, it kind of went cold for a while. Then in 2012, they got some sort of tip and they issued a legitimate search warrant for Larry's home and took out drywall and insulation that supposedly had blood on it.
Now, when they took this out, they put it in the detective's trunk. This had to have been like a Friday or something like that. And he definitely probably didn't want to go and process the evidence and this and the third, do all the paperwork. So he decided to go home, put his car in the garage, and have a good weekend.
With the evidence in the car.
With the evidence sitting in the car the entire weekend. And mind you, so when they went to go take it back into the crime lab, they never processed the evidence. So the evidence just basically sat there. So everybody's calling for it, like the mother's complaining, and she's calling them, going up to the police station, wondering what's going on. Y'all have had this for 40 days. 40 plus days.
Before it was even processed.
Like the day the officer made a statement about the evidence on the news, that's the day that they just processed it because it was sitting unregistered in the evidence crime lab. You know what I mean? Like, shitty police work, yo. Like, shame on y'all, bro.
It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't their children.
No, and that's the crazy thing. Y'all just bushing it off. And it's just, luckily there's laws now to where stuff like this can't happen to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to just brush it off like, oh, it's just a runaway.
They'll investigate.
They have to. You know what I mean? And thank God for that shit.
Because so much time is lost in the first day. I mean, Most people have seen the show First 48. If you don't find something in the first 48 hours, it's the chances of the person being found go dramatically down.
And all cops, even back then, knew that. The evidence that they did come back inconclusive. They said that there wasn't any DNA on it. But I'm still not quite sure where they got the tip from.
They didn't release that
information. They didn't release
the case
that.
is still open, so that doesn't surprise me that they didn't release.
But during, I think it was somewhere around, I think it was after a month or two after she went missing, Clea's mother ended up meeting with Larry's first wife at a restaurant, and she ended up contacting her through a friend from church. So she ended up meeting.
People know everything.
They got the tea, bro. They got the tea. I'm trying to tell you, man. They like the crackheads in the street, bro. But they with the Lord. So she wanted to meet with her. That way she could talk to her, see if she knows anything about Larry, and see if Larry would be capable of doing something like this.
Like basically what kind of person he really was.
They met with her at the restaurant, and while they're meeting with her and they're talking and stuff, there's a guy across the street, and he's coming over like taking pictures, and he's running back. So somebody came and let them know, and they were like, oh, they were started like went to the window to go look, and then Larry's first wife said, oh, he's with me. Yeah. Now the reason why she said this was because she made a statement, and they were wondering, why is he taking pictures, this, that, and the third? And she said, oh, I just wanted to make sure y'all were who y'all said y'all were.
That makes sense.
There's people trying to kill me because she was trying to divorce her husband, Larry. I mean, not divorce, excuse me. She was trying to sue Larry. She was trying to sue Larry, I think over child support, and he was threatening to kill her. So she had him taking pictures of them meeting just in case something had happened to her.
And it wasn't like just in case.
Just in case, because the guy ended up coming in. He ended up looking around. He got himself something to eat, and he was standing by the tea machine that was close to them, and then he went back and sat in the van. So after that, they ended up talking to her a little bit more, and then they asked her if they thought he was capable of doing something to their daughter, and she said 100%. Now, just the way he went about this whole thing.
He's sketchy. Even if he hadn't done it, just the way that he changed his statement a bunch of times and he wouldn't take a polygraph.
Even after he came home from his Texas trip, he went to Texas. He came home. He didn't have to go to their crib, to the Clea and them's house, and he deliberately went out the way and drove past their house to let them know. Because on his way home, when he stopped to do his statement, he gave the police his statement, and that's when he was telling them he didn't see her. All he did was hear the garage door go up or down, and then that was it. But he was telling the news, like the newspapers and all that, the other stories, which was definitely conflicting. So he told him, I gave them a phone number that I had because this is a number because when they came to the house to talk to the wife, they went into the office where she worked and they pressed redial on the phone and this number popped up. So they went, so they went to go. He was like, I gave him this number and it was somebody by the name of Smith. I don't know who it was, blah, 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 blah. You might want to get that checked out. So Clea didn't, and then he ended up leaving, I guess. So Clea's mother didn't call the number. She was asking the police, hey, what's up with this number? What's up with this number? He said he didn't know who it was. The police told him, oh, it's his babysitter who's been babysitting his kid for over 4 years. I mean, since the kid's been born. But you had no idea who the number was, this, that, and the third. And then another thing that came, you know what I mean, that I found weird was, why did y'all hit the *69 if it was days later? You know what I mean?
The phone
I mean, there's phone calls after that. If you don't hit *69 right then and there, or you don't have like the digital caller ID, you're not going to find out who just called them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it was just
too much weird stuff for it to have not been him.
Yeah.
So the case is still unsolved, and she's never been found. And this was back in 1994, so it's almost 30 years later. Mm-hmm. So at this
26 years coming up?
At this point, she would be in her 27 years coming up. It's 2021 now. Mm-hmm. At this point, she would be in her 40s, and she has not been found. No remains have been found, and her family still
hasn't had peace. They haven't
closure.
They've still been holding like memorials. They've still been trying to find at least her or her body so they can lay her to rest. And it's sad. You know what I mean? I could never imagine anything like this happening with my daughter. And honestly, if I was a dad, they said the mom made it in this podcast that I watched with her mom did an interview, and her mom said that the dad, I'm trying to remember what she said. They was like, do you think that if the dad would have went there or something? She was like, oh no, he wouldn't be here. Daddy don't play that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, something around those lines. And I was like, yep, I'm the same way. But
especially with the kids.
They ended up also because there was supposedly a guy, so a boyfriend. The mother said that she didn't have any boyfriends, but it was just a guy friend. But he was supposedly in love with Clea. But he ended up they ended up searching his car. They didn't find anything. They searched him and questioned him. They gave him a polygraph, but his polygraph came back inconclusive. Which
happens.
I mean, if you're nervous or you know what I mean, anything, it happens.
And
I mean,
polygraphs are inadmissible because they're not reliable.
I don't know. They got new ones now, though. They might be coming.
He was cleared, though.
Yeah, he ended up being cleared. Larry is still a suspect, and there's definitely more into him. And I'm still going to keep digging into this case.
We're going to keep an eye on
You know what I
this
mean?
case
And I'm going to definitely leave links into this to where if y'all want to help out or if you know anything, you can contact the right people.
Absolutely.
If you know something, say something, man. It's 2021. Let's start this new year right. Let's try to help these families out.
Help these families either find their missing people or find their remains and put them to rest. I can't imagine going this long without closure and having no idea what happened to my child.
And Larry's a piece of shit. And like this isn't the first time he's done some shitty shit either. I forgot he was doing something with Section 8 houses, and he was like scheming on the money by letting his daughter live in the house where, you know what I mean, somebody from Section 8 is supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like he was doing all types of crap, yo.
What a mess. So the case is unsolved. We'll leave the information below on who to contact. So if you've seen something or you know something or you know somebody that knows something, then say something. So,
that's it for us on this one. Again, once I find more information on it, I'll definitely drop another video on it. I hope you found this video interesting as much as we did looking into it. And if you thought it was really interesting, hit the like button, subscribe button, the like button and subscribe button, and check us out on the next one.
Bye.
Yeah.